I've started it, sir.
Good afternoon, distinguished delegates. Good afternoon, facilitators that are present today. This is day 3 of the Mastering Blockchain training of the MBI CLE. And on behalf of that, the Institute of Continuing Legal Education, I remain grateful to the facilitators for their effort and the work that they do. My name is Tobenna Erojikwe. I'm the chairman of the Board of the Institute of Continuing Legal Education, and it is my pleasure this afternoon to welcome all of you to today's session. and indeed to introduce the speaker for today. The speaker for today is my friend, my brother, a great human being, and a very brilliant lawyer. Ugochukwu Obi heads the Personal and Grace Information, Communication and Technology, ICT and FinTech Practice Group. He's a distinguished corporate, commercial, and FinTech lawyer with an in-depth understanding of the Nigerian legal landscape. A law graduate of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Ugo was called to the Nigerian bar as a qualified legal practitioner in 2004. With a rich and profound industry background in the banking industry, Ugo has honed his expertise through his tenure as an experienced in-house lawyer at 2 leading banks in Nigeria, where he gained valuable insights into the intricacies of banking and financial law. Ugo's career trajectory led him to join P&G in 2015, where he swiftly ascended to leadership, playing an instrumental role in propelling the firm's fintech practice to prominence. His visionary contributions have been pivotal in shaping P&G's fintech practice into a powerhouse within the legal sphere, notably through his adept guidance on the intersection of law and technology within the financial sector. Beyond practice, Ugo has actively participated in shaping regulatory frameworks and standards. His involvement in the committee that reviewed the SEC rules on crowdfunding, released by the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, in February 2021, serves as a testament to his impactful contributions in shaping contemporary regulatory framework within the Nigerian financial landscape. Furthermore, Ugo's involvement in the SEC FinTech Implementation Working Committee of the Capital Markets in 2019 underscores his commitment to advancing the regulatory landscape to accommodate the dynamic FinTech ecosystem. In addition to his impactful regulatory involvement, Ugo has showcased his thought leadership by publishing numerous articles on FinTech, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, banking and finance, and capital markets. His insightful contributions have furthered the discourse on the legal nuances surrounding the intersection of law and technology, cementing his reputation as a trailblazer in the field of FinTech and regulation. It is my pleasure this afternoon to welcome and indeed to yield the floor to Ugochukwu Obi to discuss use cases in the legal industry, future trends, and innovation in blockchain. Thank you very much. And I'll see you at mid-time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for that warm introduction. And thank you, the attendees, for making up time to honor our invitation. That is the invitation of the NBA Institute of Continuing Legal Education. Before I start the training section, I would like every one of us to pay attention to this topic that I'm going to anchor. I'm not going to be speaking on top of their head. If you look at the faculty members for this training, they were well selected because of their vast expertise in this area. So I'm going to bring down this topic in a way and manner even a lay person can be able to, follow through as we delve into the my presentation slides. So I'm here to take us through the topic, blockchain use cases in the legal industry. You can see on the screen the table of contents for this training section. So we are going to be taking you through smart contracts in legal agreements, application of smart contract in legal agreement across various industries, practical illustration, blockchain for document verification and notarization, blockchain in contract management and disputes, tokenization and asset-backed securities, real estate transaction and land registries on the blockchain. And again, on the topic on future trends and innovation, which is prediction for the future of blockchain in the legal profession. So I go straight to the business of the day. Before I start on the smart contract in legal agreements, I don't know, most of you may be joining this training program for the first time. Then there may be some other people that have joined this program from day one. When two of our colleagues have taken us through the basis of blockchain and some of the features of blockchain. But for the benefit of newcomers, people that are coming for the first time on this program, I will quickly take us through the basis of blockchain, because understanding the basics will help you to understand this particular session that I will take us through. What is a blockchain? A blockchain is simply a distributed and decentralized digital ledger that record transactions across a network of computers in a secure and immutable manner. What does this mean and how does it work? From my definition, you'll find out that there are some key elements that I mentioned in that definition. I mentioned block, I mentioned chain of block, I mentioned decentralization, I mentioned transparency. So these are basically the major features of a blockchain. When you talk about block, what it simply means is transaction. You are referring to a transaction being grouped into blocks. And each of these blocks contain a set of transactions. Like, for example, I wanted to maybe perform a financial transaction on a blockchain. Financial transaction in the sense of maybe I want to transfer money to a friend somewhere on that blockchain. That set of transaction is recorded as a block. So chain of block, each block is linked to the one before it, forming a chain. That's why it's called a blockchain. So if I have performed a set of transactions, maybe I have engaged in buying a property. So a transfer of ownership was now being transferred to me. That is a block. So if another user on that blockchain platform perform another transaction, my own will precede the current transaction. So it will be linked to the successor transaction, to the succeeding transaction. That's why it's called blockchain. And the good thing about this blockchain is, you remember when I gave the definition, I say it's a decentralized digital ledger. So meaning that the records of those transactions, which now form block and link to the succeeding block to form a blockchain, the record of those transactions are decentralized. They are not stored in one central location that is being handled by one central authority. No, what it means is, once that transaction has been verified by all the users on that platform and been added to the chain of the block, which is now a blockchain, what it means is that the copies of the records are available to every user on that platform. So nobody holds a monopoly custody of the records of that transaction. So that's why blockchain is usually referred as a decentralized ledger. Then again, the way blockchain operates, it operates by what we call consensus mechanism. So for any transaction to be added onto that block, onto that chain, it must have been approved by majority of the users. The purposes of my session, I won't dwell more on explaining how this consensus mechanism works, because I believe that my other colleagues, earlier colleagues, must have treated it properly. Then security. Once transactions have been added under the blockchain, there's what you call immutability. You cannot alter that transaction again. So once that record has been verified and is there on the blockchain platform, it's secured because it has a layer of security inbuilt on the blockchain that makes whatever transaction on record on it not to be tampered with. That's why it's usually referred as a tamper resistant technology, and it's highly secure. So once you have that transaction there, it remains there forever, except in some exceptional circumstances, it can be altered, but it's very difficult to be altered. Then it's transparent. Transparency was mentioned in my definition. So once that transaction has been added as a part of the block on the blockchain technology, it's transparent. What it means that the record is visible to all the users on that platform. And who are these users? The users are people that are using their computers. So it's an interconnected multiple computers. So the way I'm using my laptop to be anchoring this transaction, and many of you join via your mobile app, your mobile devices, and maybe desktop. That's exactly how blockchain is. But the only thing now is that it's now a platform, an infrastructure where all the users, maybe depending on the type of blockchain you are talking about. So if it's a private blockchain, it's not everybody that can have access to become a user. You will be authorized. There will be a central entity that will give users authorization to join. But if it's a public blockchain, which is an open blockchain, what it means that everybody, you can, once you have your laptop, once you have your mobile devices, laptop or what have you, or even your smartphone, you can, get access to it. And that is the typical example of Bitcoin, Ethereum. They are good example of public blockchain. But private blockchain is more secured because it's not everybody that's been allowed access to it. So I felt that it's good to give this introductory background before I now start with the my topic, which is a smart contract in legal agreements. So what is a smart contract? For a smart contract to come into play, there must be an underlying technology, and that underlying technology is the blockchain. Blockchain technology was initially used to develop cryptocurrency, but ever since the advent of cryptocurrency, there have been some discovery made that blockchain can now be used or deployed in various areas, apart from solely for cryptocurrency. So when you hear cryptocurrency is not blockchain. Cryptocurrency is just is the underlying blockchain technology that enable cryptocurrency. Before I developed passion and interest in this area, I thought then that whenever you say cryptocurrency, you mean blockchain. yes, it can be true, but not entirely true. What it means is that blockchain technology was the underlying technology that enabled cryptocurrency that we have today. So what is a smart contract? A smart contract is a self-executing contract with the terms of the agreement directly written into the code. This contract automatically execute and enforce themselves when predetermined conditions are made without the need for intermediaries like lawyers. Smart contracts are typically deployed on blockchain technology, leveraging the inherent security and immutability of blockchain technology. So I will explain. Smart contracts is just like ordinary traditional contracts. But the only difference there is, unlike traditional contracts that are written in natural language, in human language, smart contracts are written in programming language. They are written in codes. So in smart contracts, you have all the necessary features of a contract: offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relations. But the only difference there between smart contract and traditional contract is that smart contracts are created to run on its own, run as an autopilot. So what it means is, once parties have agreed and reduce their intention into written codes, which are now being deployed on blockchain technology, what it means is, in terms of the enforceability, they don't need to run to a third party to enforce that contract if either of the party is in breach of the contract. No. Or they don't need a third party to be able to confer rights and benefits on them if they perform their own obligations under that contract. No. So the contract automatically enforces on its own, provided a predetermined conditions are being made. So for example, I can give an example. We all know that for you to enforce a contract, for you to enforce that contract. But in smart contract, is not in that light. Once, for example, I have entered into an agreement to buy a Sorry, I will need to. Sorry, there was an interruption on my internet. So as I was saying earlier, with smart contract, if I enter into an agreement for sale of land or sale of land with a buyer, once we have agreed on the amount in terms of consideration for that land and the terms of this sell and purchase land agreement is reduced into smart contract code and deployed on blockchain, I don't need an external person or entity to help me to enforce that contract, so, or execute that contract. So what it means is, immediately the buyer pays, the smart contract will trigger the transfer of ownership to the buyer. So we don't need an intermediary like lawyers So, and that's the reason why people are afraid that if this technology matures enough, that maybe the job of a lawyer will be under threat. Although I don't entirely agree with it, because I still tell people it's lawyers that will still draft those agreements that will be deployed on that smart contract. The only thing is that it will not change to machine language in terms of code, but the agreement will still be drafted by the lawyer. But the only thing that lawyer might not be able to do again is going a step further in terms of post-contract execution or enforcement. That will be done on the smart contract, because it executes or enforces based on predetermined condition being met. So once the buyer has paid, because on the blockchain, there's something you call Oracle or external data sources. So that Oracle is integrated into the blockchain platform. So it's that Oracle that feeds the smart contract with data, telling the smart contract that A, B, C, D, ABC has been done. So once it feeds in that data, it will execute. So once the buyer has paid, that Oracle or external data source, which is integrated by API, we alert the smart contract that A has paid. So once he alerts that A has paid, he will go on to effect the transfer of ownership. So that is how a smart contract works. So it's like an ordinary traditional contract, but the only difference is that it doesn't need an intermediary like a lawyer to enable him to execute and enforce the contract. Okay, so this slide is all about application of smart contracts in legal agreement across various industries. As I earlier mentioned, one of the application of smart contract is in automated transaction. So smart contracts can automate various types of transactions, such as payments, transfer of ownership, or fulfillment of contractual obligations without the need for intermediaries. For example, as I earlier mentioned, in a real estate transaction, a smart contract can automatically transfer ownership of the property to the buyer once the payment is received. And as I said earlier, is that Oracle that is integrated into the smart contract features that will alert the smart contract that this person has paid. Once he gets it, he transfers the ownership to the buyer. Then it can be used in supply chain management. Smart contract can be used to streamline supply chain processes by automating tasks such as inventory management, order processing, payments. For instance, a smart contract can automatically release payment to a supplier once the goods are delivered and verified. External data sources or oracles may be used to verify conditions, such as confirming delivery or receipt of goods. So in supply chain management, so once the oracle verify that the customer has received the goods along the supply value chain, once he confirms, the supplier, the smart contract will release the goods to the customer. Then escrow services. Smart contract can act as escrow services, holding funds or assets as digital intermediaries until predetermined conditions are met. This part of functionality of smart contract is particularly useful in online transactions where trust between parties is limited. For example, in a freelance contract, the smart contract can hold the payment in escrow and release it to the freelancer once the project is completed satisfactorily. So, for example, I remember during our own time when the internet was still coming up, there are some people then at our final year in the university, they were looking for people to write the dissertation for them, their project for them. But as internet progressed, we start having online freelancers who can help you write your project. So in that instance, you don't know the person because you met the person online. But if where you met the person was on a blockchain platform, you don't need to have any fear, because what will happen is, even if you are paying the person to write that project for you, your agreement with the person will be reduced into smart contract code. So in that smart contract code, you will put in like a deliverable milestone that will be achieved before payment will be made to that person. So what the smart contract will do is, the smart contract will hold your money. You will make that money first. You will hold it in an escrow. You won't release it to the person you have contracted to do that project for you, with your dissertation for you, until there is a satisfaction that the deliverable milestone, which you have already indicated in the code, has been met. That is only when the smart contract will release that fund that is holding as an escrow agent to the person that have done that project. Then smart contract again can be used in insurance claims. In fact, in developed countries, that's what they are currently using. So instead of manual processing of insurance claim, we all know very well in Nigeria, the reason why people are averse to insuring some of their valuables has been that when the chips are down, it will take ages for you to process and get your claim from the insurance company. But smart contract has taken all that bottlenecks and bureaucracy away. So what he does now is, once the insured and the insurer have agreed on a policy, that policy will be reduced into a code. So the insurance company doesn't have any control over your claim. So once you meet the predefined criteria for you to assess your claim, the smart contract will go ahead and release the fund, your claim to you. So that's another area smart contract is making a breakthrough in the insurance company, in the insurance sector. Then smart contract again can be used in execute various types of legal agreements. As I mentioned, rental agreements, employment contracts, intellectual properties. This contract can automatically enforce terms and conditions, reducing the need for legal intermediaries and streamlining the execution process. So we'll go to the next slide, and that next slide is, we look at some of the practical application of smart contracts in some of these areas that I've earlier mentioned. So we'll be considering a simple example of a rental agreement implemented as a smart contract on a blockchain. So the first stage is what we call contract deployment. So in this contract deployment is the stage at which the landlord and the tenant will agree on the terms of the rental agreement. So maybe landlord has agreed to rent the apartment to the tenant maybe for a year or so. So they will now agree on the terms of the contract, like the rental amount, the payment schedule, and duration of the tenancy. So as I mentioned earlier, these terms are now encoded into a smart contract and deployed on a blockchain network. As I said earlier, smart contract cannot work on its own. It works with the help and assistance of blockchain. So even if you encoded the terms of the contract and you didn't put it on a blockchain, it cannot work. You only work on a blockchain platform. So after the contract deployment, the rent payment. So on the agreed upon date each month. So if the rental payment is monthly, so what smart contract will be doing is the smart contract will automatically triggers payments from the tenant account, because in the deployment of the smart contract on the blockchain technology, the tenant account will also be linked to that blockchain platform. So the landlord doesn't have any business calling the tenant, please pay me, your money is due for payment. No, the account is linked, so there will be automatic debit. So once smart contract triggers that the payment is due, the Oracle I told you that verify we relate with the bank of the tenant, which probably will be within the blockchain, will be a user within the blockchain. So once the Oracle verify that the rent is due, it informs the smart contract, it triggers it. Once it triggers it, the bank of the tenant will allow the payment to go to the landlord account. Then security deposit. We all know that in most tenancy now, the landlord will demand that the tenants will pay what you call security deposit to cover for maybe any item or property of the landlord on that premises that may be destroyed by the tenant during the course of the tenancy. But if nothing is being destroyed except fair wear and tear, the security deposit will be returned to the tenant. So the same thing as with rent payment, so also is with security deposit. So if at the end of the tenancy, it's verified that the tenant do not remove any property from the premises, or damages any assets or property on that whatever, the smart contract will trigger the release of the security deposit back to the tenant's bank account, like what happened with the rent payment. The same thing will happen, the reverse case with security deposit. Then lease renewal. So at the end of the initial tenancy, like the way we normally do it, every end of year, at the end of each tenancy, if it's a tenancy for 1 year, parties will start again, try to negotiate to know whether they will renew it. But once the tenancy and the renewal terms have been encoded, have been reduced into code, that need for parties or lawyers to bring the parties together to start negotiating whether to renew or not will not arrive. So once the tenant has met those determined conditions for renewal, the smart contract will trigger the renewal. So this is a very good case of application of a smart contract. Is very, very useful in tenancy and lease agreements. Then another good area of the application of smart contracts is with respect to intellectual property agreements. So what he does is that he automates provisions. Smart contract automate provisions related to licensing, royalties, ownership, and enforcement. I will give an example. A photographer license, a photographer, for example, licenses their images. If a photographer licensing their images through a smart contract platform, what the smart contract will do is the smart contract will specify the terms of the use, including the permitted usage rights, duration of the license, and the royalty rates. So when someone purchases that license to use one of the photographer's images, the smart contract will automatically generate a license agreement, collect payments, and distribute royalties to the photographer. So in the same way we do it in a real world, the same thing happened in the digital space. So instead of that license agreement being drafted by a lawyer, the smart contract will generate the license agreement. So once I've agreed to purchase or license the photographer image on that blockchain platform, the usual thing that I would have done is for me to start using, as a photographer, I will start looking for a lawyer that will come and help me to draft and negotiate the terms of the contract. No, everything will be done within a minute. The smart contract has generated the license agreement. And as I said earlier, all these things, yes, more or less eliminates intermediaries like lawyer, but not entirely, because the smart contract that generated that license agreement, that agreement is still prepared by a lawyer. But the only thing is that after preparing the license agreement, is now being reduced into codes, which is not readable by human standards. So we will still be the one to prepare the agreement, but the only thing that we won't be part of is anything concerning the enforcement or execution of that agreement. It removes human intervention entirely. So it does it on its own. So good areas of this application are in real estate, in tenancy, real estate by buying and selling of property, rental of houses or apartments, then in intellectual property. In fact, in developed world, that's what they are now using more or less to be able to track piracy of content work. So it's just that maybe blockchain technology is still evolving in Nigeria. By the time blockchain technology is matured enough, it will more or less favor content creators, because all this issue of piracy will be a thing of the past. Because once the users of that content are all on that blockchain platform, whoever tries to pirate, in fact, you can't even do it, because if you do it, it can't accept that transaction to be recorded on the blockchain platform. So you can't even do it in the first place. So we go to the second item under the use cases of blockchain in legal industry. So we have blockchain for document verification and notarization. Under this, we'll be discussing what we call document hashing, cost and time efficiency, recording on the blockchain, transparency and accessibility, verification and authentication, and time stamping. So we discuss all this now for you to make meaning for what I will be speaking on this item. We all know the way and manner we verify documents. If you want to verify documents, they will ask you to get a certified true copy of that document, or you have done an affidavit, they will ask you to take the document to a notary public for notarization. There is that possibility that the signature of a notary public and even the seal of that notary public can be forged. And once that is forged, what it means is that a document purporting to be coming from a notary public is indeed not a notarized document from that notary public, because the seal and the signature might have been forged. The same thing with Commissioner for Oaths. The same thing with where you are asked to produce certified true copy of a document. And for you to do that, they will first of all compare the original before you will get the certified true copy, before the copy will be certified. But with smart contracts and with blockchain, all these human intervention with respect to notarization or verification of documents would be a thing of the past. And what do I mean? For document verification and notarization on the blockchain platform, there are flow processes that document must go through before that document will be duly verified and notarized. So the first flow process is what we call document hashing. And what is hashing? This hashing is more or less like a unique digital fingerprint. Like as human being, we know everybody has a unique fingerprint. My fingerprint cannot be replicated. It's unique to Ugo and no other person. So it's the same thing that document hashing is trying to do here. So for example, if I have my birth certificate and I was being told to go and notarize it, what will I do? I will just come on a blockchain platform, assuming the authority that asked me to go and notarize it, maybe my employer, is also on that blockchain platform as a user. What will I do? Once I come to the blockchain platform, the first thing that will be done is to convert that my birth certificate into a unique digital fingerprint. And that digital fingerprint, a unique number will be assigned to that my birth certificate. And once that is done, that hash, that document is converted by giving a unique digital fingerprint called hash. That hash gives that document a security cover. There's something you call cryptographic algorithm. So that cryptographic involves like 3 or 4 layers of security that he will clothe that document. So he will convert it into hash. So once he converts it, that digital fingerprint is assigned to it can never be tampered. So there's nothing like forgery. So once that is done, because the essence of that hash, which is like a digital seal on the document, is to ensure the document integrity and authenticity. So what it means is, if that hash matches what is on the blockchain, you can trust that that document is genuine. So once it's converted into hash, the hash, the document hash, is now recorded on the blockchain along with a timestamp. So once that hash, unique digital fingerprint, number is recorded on the blockchain. And once it's recorded, there will be a time stamp. Maybe it was recorded yesterday at 12 noon. So it will be showing that it was recorded yesterday at 12 noon. So that yesterday at 12 noon will appear on that hatch as long as that record is on that blockchain. So it can never be altered. So this timestamp will create an immutable record on the document existence at a particular point in time. So what happens? Multiple copies of that recorded document on the blockchain are distributed across a network of computers. So a network of computers, which is nodes, are the users, which probably my employers that are asked me to go and notarize that document will be part of the user on that platform. So the essence of the distribution is to ensure that the record is decentralized. So every users on that platform will have a copy of that hatch document, which has now been recorded on the blockchain along with the timestamp. So everybody will have it, because that's one of the features of blockchain, decentralization. So it's no longer a case where if I want to ask for my birth certificate or notarization of my birth certificate, I will start going to birth control agency. No. The essence is at any point in time, all the users will have access of the distributed copies of that hatch document along with the timestamp. So that will now be added as a new block on the blockchain. Remember when I was introducing the blockchain, I said that its block is all about transactions. Transaction can be financial transaction, it can be transfer of ownership, it can be notarization of document. So once this document hatch has been successfully recorded on the blockchain and distributed across the network of the nodes, which are users of the computer, what it means is that that notarized document now has been added as a new block on the blockchain. So once it has been added as a new block to the chain, anyone on that blockchain platform, including my employer, can verify the authenticity of the document. So how will he compare it? He will compare the document hatch with the recorded hatch on the blockchain. So if the hatches match, it proves that the document has not been tampered with since it was authenticated, providing a high level assurance of its authenticity and integrity. So you can see that he has now eliminated human intervention. So there's no need of forgery again. So what all the users will do is, once they compare the hatch on the copies of the on the copies that have been decentralized, that have been distributed to them, with the hatch on the blockchain, once it matches, once the two match, that shows that the document is genuine, because it will bear that digital seal on it. So you can see in this light, it has more or less eliminated the need for notary public and commissioner for oaths. So, but all these things will stay mature, but they might not be now. Maybe in the 10, 15, 16, 20 years to come, we might stop, going to a notary public to physically verify document. Realize you can do that on a blockchain under 1 second. Then finally, time stamping. As I said earlier, when the document is converted into hatch, after the conversion into hatch, is recorded on the blockchain. And once it's recorded, a time stamp of the time it was recorded will be inputted on the blockchain. So that time stamping provide reliable timestamp for when the document was verified and notarized, as each block in the blockchain contains a timestamp. Even this timestamp will serve as a proof of the document existence at a particular point in time and regulatory purposes. For example, in a case of legal dispute, the timestamp recorded on the blockchain for the notarized contract document will serve as an evidence of when the contract was created and notarized without the need for any intermediary. So this timestamping too can serve as an evidential proof in court. So if a contract has been executed between parties and deployed on a blockchain, and once it is deployed as a timestamp on that contract, as soon as it's deployed, the essence of this is if tomorrow one of the parties now contesting that this contract did not exist, or I didn't sign this contract, you don't need to start looking out for witnesses to come and testify. All you can do is just go to the blockchain, maybe plead that blockchain you are pleading. So what you will do now is to go to the blockchain, get the timestamp of when that contract was entered into and reduced into a smart contract on the blockchain platform. Just get it, and you now use it as evidential proof to show that the contract was created. Then again, the good thing about verification and notarization of documents through blockchain is what you call transparency and accessibility. I mentioned earlier that one of the features of blockchain is transparency. Transparency in the sense that once it's been added as a block on the chain, it becomes visible and transparent to everybody within that platform. So blockchain technology offers transparency, allowing anyone to access and verify recorded information without the need for intermediaries. This transparency enhances trust and accountability in the document verification and notarization process. For example, multiple parties involved in a transaction, such as buyers, sellers, and regulators, can independently verify the authenticity of documents recorded on the blockchain, eliminating the need for reliance on a third-party notaries. All these things go to what I've earlier mentioned. So once everybody is on that platform and there is a document that has been verified and deployed on that blockchain, you don't need an external notary public. All you can do is just go there, get the timestamp, get the hash, the digital seal, match it with the document you want to verify. Once the two documents match, that's all. Then cost and time efficiency. Using blockchain for document verification and notarization can streamline the process, reducing cost and time associated with traditional notarization methods. There is no need for physical presence or manual verification by a notary, leading to a faster and more cost-effective document notarization. All these things, I've said it earlier before. So what it means is the money notary public usually collects for notarization of documents will not apply again. And again, you may go to a notary public for notarization of documents. They will tell you that the notary public is not around, that you should come back tomorrow or next. And you needed that notarized document maybe for evidential purposes in court. But with blockchain, within a second, everything has been done. So it enhances, it reduces cost and promote time efficiency. I don't know whether I can stop here and ask for if anybody has any questions so far, or should I finish and entertain questions?
There are quite a number of questions here, but I think perhaps it might be better to finish so we can take the questions. At the moment, we have about 14 questions rolled up. But I mean, what is your preference, Ugo? Do you want to take some questions so you take a break? Perhaps if you think that the idea, that it's a better idea to take the questions so that the first limb of the work is dealt with, then we can take questions. All right.
Let me take the questions.
All right. Then I'll just ask the questions and then expect you to respond. So the first question has to do with your slides. Somebody wants you to put it on slideshow. Yeah. I don't know whether you can do that at your end. The other person says, please can the presentation be put on so the same thing in presentation mode.
I thought this thing is on slide mode.
Well, no, it's not. So they want it on slide mode. So while we're at that, then the other question is, will the smart contract help the buyer to get governor's consent on or C of O? Will the smart contract help the buyer to gain physical possession of the land? This is Choma Mbedichie. The first question, well, and the second one, but I'll leave you to deal with it.
Oh. Okay.
Did you hear that?
Yes, but I'm trying to, just a moment. Okay, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to know whether maybe we'll ask the two people that asked for my presentation to be on a slide, whether they are okay now with it. I've changed. I've put it.
So we'll let them react to it on the Q&A because they're following. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's continue. We'll find that out in a second.
Okay.
So the question that Choma has asked is, will the smart contract help the buyer to get governor's consent or C of O?
Yeah, sure, it will. But let me not preempt my answer because I still have it when we get to land, real estate and land registry. By the time we finish it, we answer Chioma's question. So let me not preempt. Yeah.
Now the second one is, she says, will the smart contract help the buyer to gain physical possession of the land?
The physical. Okay, so even if you have a traditional deed of assignment, the document is just a means. It's not an end in itself. So what the deed of assignment does is to help the buyer to be able to get the physical possession of the land. It's not that the deed of assignment will go and put the land in you. No, it gives you the legal rights to go and take the possession. The same thing with smart contract. As I earlier said, smart contract is just like a traditional agreement, but the only difference here are threefold. One, instead of the terms and conditions written in human language in a way we can read and understand, no, it's now translated and converted into codes. Codes machine language that are not sensible to human reasoning. So it's only maybe software engineers or developers or that can be able to, you know, dictate or encode what those terms are in the written code. That's the one major difference. Then another difference is that, as I earlier said, instead of when there is a default in terms of breach by one party, ordinarily, if that party, you know, refuses to remedy the breach, what will you do? You go to court to sue for breach. But in terms of smart contract, you don't do that. The smart contract will automatically on its own enforces the terms of the contract. So if it's, for example, the contract has said that if there's a breach, you will have to pay a liquidated damage of so. So once that smart contract has been deployed, what it means is that the parties on both sides must have deposited certain amounts, so that once either of them defaults, it doesn't need to start to court to say, court, please help me to recover these liquidated damages. It will go straight to either of the parties' accounts and take that money and give to the party that is not in default. So these are the major differences. So to answer your question, what the smart contract does is the same thing a deed of assignment we do, that is traditional deed of assignment. It's just to give you, whoever that is had that right, the legal right to move there and take that possession. And how will he do it? I've said there is an oracle that verify conditions for the smart contract. So once that oracle has verified that A has performed his obligation, it will automatically trigger the transfer of the ownership of the property. So that ownership of property, the seller must have deposited the title document within the blockchain platform. I mentioned earlier that smart contracts can serve as an escrow agent. So if those parties are entering into buy and sell of land, what it will be expected is the buyer must have made available the money for the land and put it in an escrow. Then the seller must have deposited the title document into an escrow, and that escrow is managed with the blockchain platform. So what it does is, once the buyer has done the due diligence and said, I'm okay with this property, and he pays, once he pays, that property is no longer within the control of the seller, because the seller has already deposited the title document within the blockchain platform. So automatically, there will be transfer of ownership.
So Ugo, thank you. Thank you exactly for your patience in responding to that second limb of that question, because I wondered whether it was a trick or snide question when I saw it, but I'm happy that you took the time to explain it. It would appear to me that just looking at it, I mean, physical possession, and the person who raised the question talks about gaining physical possession. Yeah. So that's a bit of a delicate one, but thank you for your patience in responding to that. The next question is
because what gives you title, what gives you possession is the title document in a technical sense, not just going.
Yeah, but the point I'm making that the person is talking about physical possession.
Yes, I know.
And we all know what it takes to get physical possession of property. So yeah. I mean, it's a good thing that you took the time to answer it, and at least if there's any doubt on that end, we understand that getting physical possession is quite different from anything anybody can get in any contract, smart or otherwise.
Yeah.
So the next question is, dear organizers, is it possible to get all the slides from the sessions? Yes, tomorrow or latest on Wednesday, all the slides will be sent out to every lawyer in Nigeria. We have all the slides ready already, so that's fine. Then the next question, and I like this particular question because it goes to the grain of what we do. Ugo, we're having a conversation earlier on about whether there is actual value that people take from the trainings that we provide, whether there is real money from these trainings. And this person is asking, how can a lawyer become a blockchain solicitor? So he has already seen a field of expertise. He's now asking, what is the process? And the trainings will never be complete if experts are not asked the question, how? We don't want to be in a situation where we just take knowledge and walk away and do nothing with it. So thank you. Go, that's you now.
Okay. He asked question how he can become an expert in blockchain.
Yes,
right?
a blockchain solicitor, yes.
Okay. I can use my example. I can use myself as a case study. I worked in the bank for 10 years, and you know how typical work routine could be in the bank. You know, interfacing with external legal counsel, providing legal support to various departments, you know, involved in loan origination.
We go, we're struggling to hear you. Okay, better
conducting due diligence and all that. Okay, it was after 10 years that I told myself, I've had it enough. It is enough for me to, go into private practice, for me to see the other end of my legal career. So I entered Piston and Grace in 2015. Maybe roughly a year, I was made a partner because of the area I started to go into. I started to go into fintech, financial technology. I didn't know.
Yeah, Ugo, we've been struggling with hearing you, and then you disappeared for a minute.
My network, I don't know. Sorry, network. Okay, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So where I was saying, you don't need anybody to give you. Training is the key, number one. Then number two is you must have passion and interest. And the way a manner legal practice is going, legal practice now is all about specialization. For you to have an edge over another lawyer is all about what you know upstairs. I'm not talking about traditional general practice, because that one is something everybody, once you are passed through university and the law school, you will know general knowledge of the law. I'm talking about these specialized areas. So what I'm saying in essence is passion and interest is a driving force. Then networking and attending trainings of this nature that's been organized by MBA, Institute of Continuing Legal Education, because the way and manner they choose their facilitators, they don't go just and pick anybody. From my explanation of blockchain so far to everyone, you can see that is not something on the moon. It's something you do every day. Just forget about the terminology. Once you are learning it, just try to situate it to everyday life. Blockchain is just like a platform, the way you have a server. But the only difference between it and server is controlled by the host. You have a central administrator. But blockchain is a database too. But everybody has access. So the way and manner I train myself, I was able to I don't do the way
so
I
poorly.
learn. I down to a layman's position.
Ugo, your network is so poorly. I don't know what's going on. You guys usually have a good network at Peshton. Can you hear me? Ugo, it looks like you're frozen even. And Buki was here earlier on, but I think she has zoned out. She could have helped out if she had good network. Ugo, you're frozen. I would apologize on Ugo's behalf. I think there's a glitch at his end. Okay, he's logged out completely now. I hope he comes back shortly. So Ugo will be back in a second. He's trying to change his network, and we hope that would happen soon enough. Yeah, so just to say before Ugo comes back that all the training sessions are stored on our YouTube channel, MBA ICLE. For those who had asked a question about the slides, we will make them available to everybody after tomorrow's training, which will be by Senator Iheyan. And I truly hope that the trainings have been going well so far. I think Ugo is logged back on, but I'm waiting to see his face before yielding the floor to him. Okay, we can see Ugo's slides back on.
Yeah.
Just waiting for him to come back up. Okay, Ugo.
Okay, maybe let me remove my video so that it won't put pressure on the. Okay. Okay. Sorry about the interruption. Something that's beyond our own control. Okay, as I was answering to the gentleman that asked if someone wants to be an expert in blockchain, what the person would do. So what I'm saying in essence is all these things for me is all about passion and interest. First of all, you must have interest in that particular area of specialization. And as I said earlier, the way and manner legal practice are going in today's world, one needs to evolve and keep track of the development globally, because that is the only thing that will give an edge to you. And I don't rule the importance of legal training like the one that is being organized by NBA Institute of Continuing Legal Education. What I do, I attend a lot of trainings of this nature. I participate in several conferences because it is through those conferences that I become aware of the next trendy topic in the legal industry. So once I get aware of it, I start training myself to take advantage and position of it. So there is no any fast and hard rule about it. It's all depends on you. It all depends on what you want. If you tell yourself, I want to be a capital market lawyer, it's just for you to apply yourself to it. Network, participate in conferences, attend webinars, attend trainings. Once you do that consistently for a year or over a year, for me, I think it will start making impact around people, on people around you. So maybe I will just say, for me, it's consistency, passion, and involvement in conferences, webinars that relates to those things that you have interest and passion about. Yeah, thank you.
So Ugodi, just a follow-up to that question, because I know that whoever asked that question is very serious-minded. Is there any WhatsApp group or any association of fintech lawyers, or does the SBL have a fintech group? I think they have a technology group. I don't know whether they also cover fintech. Are there places you can point this person to, so where he can see a community of people who have a bias for fintech and tech?
Okay, yeah, there are a lot of them, but the one that I belong to is the one on Lendale. It's called a Global FinTech Association. But the easiest way to join it, they don't normally invite people to join. They invite you if they see value in you. So what I do, especially on my LinkedIn pages, on my LinkedIn page, is I write a lot of articles around those areas that I have interest in, be it AI, blockchain, fintech, cyber security, in fact, anything around tech. So once I finish writing those articles and I want to post them on LinkedIn, what they normally do is the LinkedIn algorithm will prompt all this association that relates to the content that you are about to post, asking you, do you want to join? And they are inviting you because of they have seen the value of their content. So that is how I've been able to join, be it AI, blockchain, fintech, and all that. And so that was the way I got joined with all these organizations.
That's very helpful, Ugo. Now the next question, because I think we need to move a bit quickly. It says smart contract is not required, cannot be used here in a landlord and tenant relationship. The presenter is mixing up the concept. Blockchain is a decentralized system for mass transaction.
No. Maybe let me explain. Blockchain, I said it, maybe the person didn't join when I started. I said that the blockchain is the underlying technology for smart contracts. Smart contract cannot operate without blockchain technology. The reason why we don't have blockchain in Nigeria now, blockchain infrastructure is very expensive. In fact, in Nigeria, you can boast of few organizations that have blockchain technology for their enterprise processes. Blockchain is extremely expensive to build. So the reason why we don't have it because of its expensive nature. And as I said earlier, you can use blockchain for tenancy agreement, tenancy relationship. In fact, it's one of the easiest application of smart contracts is tenancy agreement. And I've explained this over and over again. Blockchain is a platform. For you to take advantage of that blockchain platform, you must be a user on that blockchain. And I mentioned earlier, you have different type of blockchain technology. You have public blockchain, you have private. Public blockchain that is one that is open to everyone. And for that blockchain to operate, what it means is that all the parties involved in that tenancy agreement must be on that platform. So where the landlord is not on that platform, the tenant is not on that platform, nothing will happen. So for that to happen, the parties must be on that platform, must be on that blockchain platform, be it public blockchain or a private blockchain or a hybrid blockchain, any of them. So what I'm saying in essence is that blockchain is the underlying technology that enables smart contract to do what he does because of the features of blockchain. Blockchain is a decentralized and distributed ledger. So whatever you intend using smart contract to do, you can do that based on the features of blockchain that have enabled those things to happen. So that's why I said earlier, smart contract cannot operate on its own. You must deploy it on a blockchain for it to perform. Because it's those features of blockchain that makes it to happen. The same thing with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency was enabled by the underlying technology of blockchain, which is decentralization, immutability, security, transparency. So if you are not a user on that platform, you can't be talking about smart contracts. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person says, thank you, sir, for your presentation. Please, can smart contract be used in transactions where human verification needs to be done? Example, for service businesses where you usually would confirm that you like the work the person has done before you make payment. Also, in the insurance example you gave, wouldn't that increase the chances of fraudulent insurance claims being filed if the insurance company doesn't have to verify it?
No. Let me start with the last question. No, it won't. It won't encourage fraud. Rather, there won't be any trace of fraud. What I said earlier was there is what you call Oracle, is integrated into the blockchain platform. Is integrated into the blockchain platform in which the smart contract is being deployed. What that Oracle does is to verify the conditions, the underlying conditions relating to the contract between the parties on that blockchain. For example, let me use the example of maybe third-party insurance, car insurance. So what that Oracle will do is to make sure that there is evidence of damage of the insured car as a result of third-party collusion. So that way, so once you establish it and feed that data into that smart contract, it triggers the effect, and the effect will be to pay the claims. So that Oracle is the one now doing, and that Oracle is an independent verifier. It's not like, because what we have now is the insurance company that will go out to verify whether your claim is true or not. So, and in doing that, you know how human beings can be. There is a possibility of being biased in the way they will verify it. But this Oracle is an independent verifier. So once you verify and fix the data, the claim will automatically be processed and paid to the insured. So there's nothing like fraud in blockchain technology.
Okay, so I think this is the right time to continue because we've hit almost 3:30. Yeah, we can take as many more as we can afford.
Okay. So I'm coming. Okay, so
Ogo, I just saw a comment that I think I'll just read before we move on. I'll go back to the other questions, but I was just running through the questions. And it's from Leonard Senior Advocate Gina Nishere. And I thank you, Leonard Silk, for being part of this training session. And she writes that I most sincerely thank Tobenna and team for this great topic on blockchain. Awesome. I've just about a week ago completed a 3-day online training by the United Nations on blockchain. However, with this as a follow-up course, I'm almost a blockchain expert. Very complicated and technical, but it's a digital innovation, but exciting and worthwhile. And I think I'm sure in a few months or years, you will have enough transactions under your belt for us to invite you to be part of our faculty. So thank you very much for that contribution. All right, we'll go back to the other questions and comments later on, but I think you can continue now. That was just to create a bit of an icebreaker before you continue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we go to the next slide, which is dispute resolution. So we can even still use blockchain, that is smart contract deployed on blockchain for dispute resolution. You can use it to manage contract performance, resolve disputes in a contractual relationship, and oversee contract life cycles. So we'll go deeper into explaining each one of these. Managing contract performance, automated execution. As previously stated, blockchain allows for the creation and execution of smart contracts, which are self-executing digital contracts with the terms of the agreement written directly into code. Smart contract can automatically enforce terms of the contract, triggering actions such as payment transfer or asset transfer based on predefined conditions being met and verified. This automation ensures that contracts are enforced without the need for intermediaries or manual intervention. You will agree with me that most times what normally causes issue in contracts is usually when there is a default. Lawyers will start coming in, start interpreting provision of the contract, which ordinarily are very clear and unambiguous. But the lawyer will start
because for some reason we can't hear you.
the internet. Okay. So as I was saying, that when there is a breach in a contract, Steve, please let me call Chinasa. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. We can hear you.
Okay. So I say when there is a breach, that is when there are usually problem in a contract, because you see lawyers, you can see lawyers start coming to interpret a provision of that contract, which ordinarily are very clear and unambiguous. And the reason is because the party that is not in default the person's hands are more or less tied in terms of he cannot engage on self-help. For him to take benefit of that contract and enforce it, he must go to court to seek remedies. But that is not the case with smart contracts, because the execution are automated. It's like cause and effect. If A happens, this will happen. In fact, I can even share an experience. I have a colleague that later left for Canada. So he told me that when he came in, he rented an apartment, because in Canada they pay monthly. So they gave him key. So he set up a mandate that at any particular date in a month, they will collect the money from his account, bank account. So it happened that he forgot to fund the account on that due day. So they made a claim on the account. There was no money. They didn't even let him know that there was no money. It was in the evening of that day that he came back. He inserted his key inside the lock to the house. They rejected they whatever rejected the key. So this in essence is some sense of smart contract in action. They don't have anything to do with you. Smart contract doesn't have anything to do with you. It will just go and execute the contract and enforce it. Because if he's here, the landlord will start calling you. Where are you? There's no money in your account. He has the key, but the key couldn't open the door to the house again. It's not blocked, it's not smart contract, but it is a glimpse of how smart contract works. Once it's executed and enforced, it doesn't involve any intermediaries. It will just lock you out, even if you have your keys. So that is what a glimpse of automated execution means. So it helps to manage contract performance. So if parties know from onset that if I default, there is consequences, and that consequences doesn't involve human intervention, it will make everybody to sit up. knowing that if I breach my obligation, there will be consequences. There will be automated consequences without recourse to me. Then again, transparency and immutability. The use of blockchain provides a transparent and immutable ledger of contract performance, ensuring that all parties have access to the same unalterable record of the contract execution and performance. This transparency can help build trust and provide assurance to all parties involved. It also helps to reduce disputes related to contract performance. So transparency and immutability, as I earlier mentioned, that the records on blockchain cannot be altered. So there's nothing like, it's not the contract that I have signed. It's not the terms that we have agreed upon. So once parties have agreed to that terms and is deployed on the blockchain, nobody, because once it's deployed, there will be a timestamp to show that on this so-so date, A and B entered into this contract with these terms, which have now been time-stamped on the blockchain. So it provides transparency. At any point in time, I can go there and see the terms of the contract. It remains unchangeable. Then automated verification, I mentioned this, that there is what we call Oracle that is integrated maybe through API, automated application program interfacing. So it's like connected through a communication tool. So it helps to verify the terms and conditions of the parties that have been coded into a smart contract. So if I've contracted with a seller to buy his land, once I make payments, the seller doesn't have business to go and inquire from my bank whether A has made payment. That Oracle that is integrated is the one that will verify from my bank to know whether there is inflow from so person. So once he confirms that, he will feed the data into the smart contract on the blockchain. Once he feeds this, he will trigger the next action. And that next action will be to transfer the property. So if the seller has deposited the title document onto that platform for smart contract to hold it as a digital intermediaries, as an escrow agent. So once he triggered it, it will release the title documents. With the title document, the buyer can use it to take possession, physical possession of the property. So in all this, you can see that it helps to manage contract performance. So if I know that all these things are mechanisms in place, it will go a long way in shortening or reducing breach of contract. Then resolving disputes. One of the key features of blockchain is immutability. The immutable nature of blockchain record ensures that a complete and unalterable history of the contract execution and performance is always available. This can help resolve disputes by providing an indisputable record of events. So it will go without saying that none of the parties can come forward and deny that what they have signed was signed under duress or was forged. Because once the terms and provision of what they've agreed are reduced into smart contract code, it cannot be altered. So the issue of one party going to forge and bring through backdoor, maybe provision that we are not agreed, will not even come up in the first place. Then arbitration and mediation platform. Blockchain platform can host arbitration and mediation services that leverage smart contract and decentralized governance mechanism. This platform provides a forum for parties to present evidence, engage in negotiation, and reach mutually agreed upon resolution with the assistance of arbitrator and mediator. In fact, in the US and Singapore, this is already happening. And for me, this is another threat that will be coming in the way of our traditional arbitration and mediation. In Singapore now, they have blockchain platform that can host arbitration and mediation. And the good thing about it is all your submissions, or will I say all your pleadings and all that, once you have prepared it, they will convert everything into smart contract code. So the scenario of an arbitration taking maybe months to be concluded is no longer the case with arbitration platforms, because with that code, everything run on autopilot. But as I maintained earlier, it's still lawyers that will, prepare the brief in terms of those arbitration and mediation. The only thing here is once it's converted into smart contract code, further involvement of lawyer will be very minimal, because everything will be on autopilot stage. It executes and enforces on its own without human interventions. Timestamp documentation. Blockchain timestamping capabilities can be used to create irrefutable evidence of the timing of contractual events, which can be crucial in resolving disputes related to performance or non-performance. So if there's a dispute as to the time at which a party has performed its obligation, if is what is in dispute in court, because most times that particular fact in issue that is in dispute can last years in court to determine, because we call a witness to say no, the performance was done on 1980. The other will come and say no, it was done. But with blockchain, because it's timestamp, then lastly, overseeing contract life cycles, end-to-end visibility. I mentioned before that transparency is one of the key features of blockchain. It's visible to all the users. Blockchain can provide end-to-end visibility into the life cycle of a contract, from its creation and negotiation to its execution and termination. Participants in a blockchain network can receive real-time feedback on contract verification status. This visibility can help all parties involved in the contract to track its progress and verify compliance with contractual terms and conditions. Then secondly, streamline documentation management. Blockchain can be used to store and manage all contract-related documentation in a secure and decentralized manner, reducing the risk of document loss or tampering. As I said earlier, I said in some aspect, you can link blockchain as a traditional server where you store digital data or information. But the only major difference is that in the traditional server, is being controlled by a central administrator, the host. But unlike blockchain platform, it's not like that. Once you store your information and data and contract-related documents, they cannot be altered. And again, every user will have a copy of that contract because it's a decentralized ledger. So it's visible to all the users. So it's not like where the central administrator is in custody of the assets, the data. What do you do when you need information? You will go and make application. Please, I need these documents. There is that tendency that the central administrator may be prone to alter the terms of the document that you are asking for. But this is not the case with blockchain, with documents stored on the blockchain platform. Then finally, audit trail creation. Blockchain's ability to create an immutable audit trail of contract-related actions and events can facilitate compliance monitoring and auditing process throughout the contract life cycle. We have said it all over and over again that blockchain has immutable feature, meaning that record cannot be altered. So if record cannot be altered and it has this feature of time stamped on any document that is kept on it, what it means is for audit purposes, you can even refer back as documents of 6-7 years on the that are stored on the blockchain. So for compliance purposes, maybe for tax audit. So this is not issue that tax authority have come to do audit and they ask one document and you now say, I don't think I still have this document, or maybe the document the document is missing. Because with blockchain, you can trace the document as far as 4, 5, 6 years, provided that the document is stored on the blockchain platform. So I think we still have like 2 more after this to end this session. So the next one we are doing is tokenization. So what is tokenization? We all know that most times we may see an artwork. We may admire that artwork. We may like to have that artwork, but we may not have the capital resources to purchase the artwork. So what do tokenization, how do tokenization help for you to acquire that your artwork of your heart? So what tokenization do is, once that tokenization is being done on the blockchain, what it does is it converts real world or digital assets into digital tokens that can be transacted and traded, transferred and exchanged on a blockchain network. So maybe the artwork ordinarily should be sold for maybe 100 million, but I don't have 100 million, I can't afford it. So what will the seller of the artwork do? So what he will do is he will go and create tokens on a blockchain technology. So what he will do is that he will create like digital tokens. Those digital tokens will be unique. So he will divide it, that 100 million, he can do it 1 million, digital token of 1 million. So he will give it to A. So that digital token will be traded like the way you trade securities on exchange. It's the same way you trade it on blockchain. So that token, I will be monitoring it as the price of that underlying artwork, physical artwork, the value is rising, the value of my digital token on that blockchain will be rising. So that 1 million digital token that I'm holding can go up to maybe 1,500,000. I can decide to sell it to people, participants within that blockchain. But all these things can happen because of the features of blockchain that have helped to enable it. So these tokens represent a specific underlying asset, which is the artwork, or maybe 25 high-rise building, 25-story high-rise building, for example. I may not have like 2 billion to buy it, but the owner of that high-rise building can create a tokenized digital token on a blockchain and sell it to users, maybe in a denominated of maybe 1 million naira into a multiple of 2 billion. So whoever decided to sell his own as the price appreciates can be able to do it on a blockchain platform. Tokenization has broad applications across various industries and can represent diverse assets such as real estate, securities like shares and bonds, artwork, commodities, and even loyalty points or in-game assets. For example, a real estate property can be tokenized by representing fractional ownership of the property as digital tokens. Each token represents a share of the ownership in the property, allowing investors to buy, sell, or trade these tokens on a blockchain-based platform. So these are the process and benefit of tokenization. The first step is to identify the assets and represent the assets on the blockchain. Then you create the token and it's using smart contracts. Then you register the token on the blockchain. The token will represent fractional ownership of the investor in the underlying assets, and it gives or it provides liquidity to the owner of the underlying assets. So that liquidity is in the sense that if the seller is to look for a buyer to buy that property, it might take ages to find person that will have that capital wherewithal to buy it. But by creating digital tokens and start selling it to multiple investors, it will help to provide liquidity to the owner of the underlying assets. Then you can use smart contract on the blockchain for compliance and regulatory consideration regarding the issuance of those tokens. You know, if you are issuing bonds in the capital market, there are regulatory compliance requirements that you must fulfill. The same thing on the blockchain. But the good thing here is the smart contract will help you, comply with those regulatory considerations, because as I mentioned, once a predetermined criteria are met, it will trigger or prompt you that the due date for compliance, so complying with social requirements, maybe, for example, know your customer, anti-money laundering. Because if you are creating that digital tokens, you must make sure that you know those investors that are buying those digital tokens. So the issue of know your customer requirement, KYC, and anti-money laundering, to make sure that the money that are using to buy those digital tokens from you are not proceeds of crime or laundered proceeds. So this smart contract will help you with that regulatory compliance. Then transfer and trading. The way we normally use broker. If you want to buy shares on the exchange, you don't deal directly with the owner of the shares. You go through broker who broker the transaction and take his own brokerage commission. But that is not that is completely eliminated once the transaction is being done on blockchain. So this buying of digital token, the user is engaging directly with the owner of the underlying asset that is creating the digital token in respect to that asset. So it eliminates brokers or agents or whatever nature. Then increase access and democratization, transparency, and reduce intermediaries. I've mentioned it before. The issue of brokerage is entirely removed. So I can quickly run through some of the stuff that I've earlier mentioned. Asset identification and representation. The essence of tokenization is to identify the underlying asset that will be represented by the digital tokens. This could be real estate, company shares, bond, precious metal, or any other asset with token create contract. Once the asset is identified, digital tokens are created to represent ownership or rights to the asset. Smart contracts, which are self-executing contracts with the terms of the agreement directly written into the code, are often used to govern the issuance, transfer, and management of the tokens. These contracts define the rules and conditions under which the tokens can be transacted and traded. Registration on the blockchain. The digital tokens and the associated smart contract are registered on a blockchain network. This provides a secure and immutable ledger where the ownership and transfer of the tokens can be recorded and verified. Once registered, the tokens inherit the security and transparency features of the blockchain, making them tamper resistant and transparent. So once it's registered, it cannot be altered. So that digital token cannot be altered. It remains the property of the investor. Then it can trade or transact, be monitoring the underlying price on the price of the value of the underlying assets. So once the underlying asset value appreciates, the digital token, the value of the digital tokens is holding, we appreciate. So he can decide to trade it, to sell it to participants within the blockchain platform. So this is a very value add to capital market transaction. But this is just that is now being done on a blockchain platform as opposed to physical exchange. Transfer and trading. With the tokens representing the underlying assets, they can be transferred and traded on the blockchain network, just like any other digital assets. The ownership transfer is recorded on the blockchain, providing a transparent and auditable record of ownership changes. So once a holder of digital token decides to sell it to another investor within the platform, once he sell it, automatically the ownership regarding that digital token will change. We don't need a third party to start providing records of the change of ownership, like the way we have in capital markets. You have the CSCSC and registrar, various registrar. We have to register your name in their register. No, in this one, automatically, it will create an entry of new ownership with regard to, because those digital tokens are unique to the holder of that tokens. So once the ownership changes hands, that is automatically reflected in the blockchain platform. And every participant within that blockchain will now see that investor A is no longer the owner of these digital tokens. Then compliance and regulatory considerations. Tokenization of assets may be subject to regulatory and compliance requirements, depending on the jurisdiction and nature of the asset. Compliance features such as know your customer and anti-money laundering checks can be integrated into the token process to ensure adherence to relevant regulation. Okay, I have to move faster now so that we can able to. So the next item on the slide I will discuss is what is called asset-backed securities. All these things are not they are not a strange term. They are terms that you also see in a normal capital market transaction. But the only difference here is they are now using blockchain to dispense with intermediaries like various participants you will see in capital market transaction, that the likes of exchange, brokers, and some other interested parties. So with blockchain, you can still maintain you can still maintain the sanctity of this transaction. But the only thing you are doing here is that you are now reducing costs by removing intermediaries who along the way we will have charged different commissions or fee for one role or the other they have played in making the contract to come to transaction to come to fruition. So what is an asset-based security? Asset-based securities are financial instruments that are backed by a pool of underlying assets, such as mortgages, auto loans, credit and receivables, and other income-generating assets. These assets are typically put together and used as collateral to back the securities, creating an additional layer of security for investors. So let me explain what asset-backed security means. So what it means is that a bank can decide to pool its performing loan assets. It can pool all of them together and tranche them, maybe tranche A, tranche B, tranche C, based on the risk sensitivity of the investors. So the underlying security for that asset that have been pooled will be the repayment that will be coming from the underlying borrowers and maybe other physical collateral they might have deposited with the bank for the bank to secure the loan. So they pool all those performing loans and they will sell it. Maybe they would sell it at a margin above what they have already given to the original borrower. So that's what is known as asset-backed securities. And you can see that kind of transaction happening in secondary markets, in capital market, maybe over-the-counter exchanges. Like in Nigeria, you can see that kind of transaction happening on the FMDQ, Security Exchange. But what we are saying here is you can replicate that kind of transaction on a blockchain. And blockchain will even enhance it because it will make it cost efficient by removing all those people that will have benefited in terms of charging fee or commission for their role. So that's what asset-backed security creation on the blockchain is talking about. When these asset-backed security are combined with blockchain technology, the process of tokenizing them involves converting the ownership rights to the underlying asset into digital tokens on a blockchain. This allows for the representation of ownership and value in a digital form, bringing several advantages to the traditional asset-backed security market. Process and benefit of tokenization. Tokenization process. The first step in the process is to the underlying assets here will be if the bank are giving out a lot
We appear to have lost to go again. We'll go with you for a while. I think you'll help.
Just
Yeah.
just a moment. I want to change location. Where I am, is a little bit far from our server room. So let me go to an office that is closer. I think that's. I think it will be better now.
Okay. I'm sure you're about to round up anyway, because it's already past 4 o'clock.
Yeah. I will round up.
Let me just allow the injury time because of the glitches.
Okay. So after this, one more will be done. So, in terms of real estate transaction, someone asked the question whether you can use it for governor consent. Very well, you can use it. In fact, this is one of the major. Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. In fact, this is one of the major attractions of blockchain technology. You can use it to revolutionize real estate. So you can use it for property ownership record. So where there is where there is a sell and purchase of landed property, you can use it to keep titles. You can use it for title verification. So all these issue of problem we are having with land registry in Lagos, you go to do search. At times you get conflicting report.
We can't hear you. We've lost to go again. Still have quite a number of people logged in, so we'll just wait for him to come back and hopefully finish the session before we close off. We do apologize for the inconvenience.
Just touch the particular one. Is this the one?
Mm. Okay, sorry about the interruption. So let me quickly go to the last slide because we have really wasted time. I'm so sorry about. So future trends in the legal profession. Prediction for the future of blockchain in the legal profession.
Hello, Go. Sorry,
I
think if you just find a way to summarize quick so that we don't get into this.
That's what I wanted to do now. So the future trend in the legal profession. So what the prediction we'll be having is in the near foreseeable future, there will be increasing adoption of smart contracts across various industries. And what it means is that some of the areas lawyers are making money will be reduced. But the good thing is people that are skilled in the smart contract adoption, we smile. Some people might have their revenue reduced, while others will have theirs increased. Because as I mentioned earlier, smart contracts is just all about reducing a traditional contract into codes. So people that are vast in that area in terms of lawyers will be the people that will be in increasing demand. Then you will see a lot of legal documentation, authentication, and storage being occurring on the blockchain platform. So there will be a decreased demand for physical authentication of documents. Then in the foreseeable future, there will be increasing demand for blockchain-based dispute resolution because of the fact that it offers faster and efficient means of resolving disputes. Businesses and companies will incline towards adopting this form of dispute resolution. Then for regulatory compliance and governance, you will see regulators spending money to build blockchain infrastructure. And once that is done, most compliance activities will be done through those blockchain platforms. Then you will start seeing innovative legal services that are tailored towards the adoption of blockchain and smart contracts. So these are likely some of the predictions for the future of blockchain in the legal profession. Yeah, thank you.
Ugo, thank you so much for this very brilliant presentation. I also thank other members of the faculty, but what a presentation. I mean, very practical, very pragmatic in its focus and perspective. Thank you very much for also taking the time to answer the questions. Unfortunately, because of the glitches and interruptions, we weren't able to take on as many questions as possible, but it is what it is. Thank you. I mean, I think it's interesting to hear your perspectives on where the future is, or is what the future is looking like or would look like. But I don't think it's far away from anything that any normal person who follows technological trends would think. It's a major technology is a major disruptor. Blockchain is a major disruptor, and I think it's good that we are creating this awareness and people are beginning to hear about some of the things that we talk about. I mean, the point you made about reduction in dispute work as a result of smart contracts is also something that people had highlighted in the Q&A box. So we continue to look, but we have to remain progressive and pragmatic, as you say, and that those who are in tune with the future direction of things and the future world of work and legal practice will still have a lot to speak for them. On your own path, I think you're already ahead of us. You've secured your own future income, subject to whatever else happens in the technological space. But thank you very much, Ugo, for your contributions to this. And I must say to everybody that it was Ugo that actually reached out to me and said we must do something on blockchain, and was responsible for drawing up the initial outline. And I'm very grateful to him. Grateful also to all the other contributors who are experts in this field, from Davidson Otaro to Senator Ihe, and then also Buki, who took on the class on Friday. Tomorrow will be our grand finale. I haven't said this to the facilitators, but because of the interest we've seen, it may be a good idea that we go on Twitter Space and just have a round off. But it's something I'm going to take up with them subsequently. So thank you very much, Ugo, for today. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up. We close tomorrow, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. God bless you all, and take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Grateful, bro. Grateful.